Good evening, everybody, and welcome to downtown sunny Cobram, where we're coming to you tonight for the Volunteer Forum for March. First and foremost, as we always do, we pay our respects to the traditional owners of the land to which we celebrate this forum on this evening, and pay our respects to elders past and present, and welcome the elders of other Aboriginal communities that may be with us this evening, either in person or online. A jam-packed agenda again tonight here in downtown sunny Cobram, and as you saw, a bit of some drone footage of the station here in Cobram, and it sort of gives you a bit of an idea of the general area. On the panel tonight, I've got Matt Denhe, the captain of Cobram. Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
I've got Shane Peacock. Welcome, Shane. We're going to talk about some radios later on, which will be quite exciting. Brendan O'Kane, our Chief Information Officer, so the man that makes the IT systems go whiz, is here with us this evening. We're also joined by Danny Jones and Matthew Chick from our engineering and fleet departments, and they've got something really exciting to show us tonight, a new light tanker. So I'll leave that for Danny to take us through and explain what that's all about. I took opportunity a couple of weeks ago to sneak into the SLC to have a little bit of a captain sneak peek. I couldn't help myself. I took it for a burn around the block. I've got to say it is a very schmick machine. We've also got Stephanie Thompson and Sue Sheldrick, and we're going to have a chat about some issues around diversity and some conversations about how important that is for CFA and some of the things that have been happening in CFA most recently, particularly following our International Women's Day forum that we had not only the other week. So it's a jam-packed agenda, but let's have a look at what's coming up in this evening's show. Some great items there tonight for discussion, and some exciting news there for our brigades and volunteers. As usual, the chat is open for anyone that wants to ask the burning question, sorry, the pun. Tonight, our senior management teams are online ready to answer your questions. Likewise, I'm more than happy to throw Brendan a curly question or two. So for all the IT nerds out there, go your hardest. I'm sure Brendan will know the answer. And as always, tell us where you're coming from, or should I say watching from. We've got a couple of people there from Timboon, Stawell, Wendouree, Warrandyte, lots of people starting to join us from across the state, so that's fantastic to see. Well, I said it publicly on the TV a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and certainly the sting was in the tail to summer. We saw a run of fire weather, particularly extreme fire danger days and two catastrophic fire danger days, particularly for the Wimmera and Southwest weather districts. Absolute big congratulations and heartfelt thanks to all our volunteer members from right across the state to, quite frankly, stood up and answered the call, not only for your local communities, but also for our western communities, particularly for those at Pomonal, Dadswells Bridge, and Beaufort and Bayandine and surrounds. Those communities unfortunately saw significant loss both in homes, assets, livestock, fencing and other agricultural assets. And our members were there to assist them, and certainly they were also supported and given assistance by our colleagues north of the border, the New South Wales Rural Fire Service with strike teams that were brought down, also in addition to some incident management teams. It was a tremendous effort. We saw some pretty harrowing conditions, and some of the fire weather that we saw over that period was more significant than what we have seen in the last couple of years, certainly, but also more significant than some of the weather that we'd seen since 2009. So on behalf of Greg Wilson, our Chair, Natalie McDonald, our CEO, myself, and a grateful Victorian community, we say thank you for everything that you've done, and a big thanks to your families for allowing you to leave your homes, leave your workplaces and your employers to join the firefight. It's greatly appreciated and to be absolutely congratulated. We see on the screen some of the images that were taken throughout that time, some extensive firefighting operations, both from the air and the ground, and some really great work done in collaboration with our agency partners, whether it be Forest Fire Management Victoria and also Fire Rescue Victoria that assisted us with pumper strike teams, rapid impact damage assessment teams and the like. So everyone is to be congratulated, and thank you very much for all your efforts. Yeah, it really is appreciated. I guess, been a while, Captain of the Cobram Brigade. I asked you earlier, I guess, did you manage to be deployed? And you were busy looking after this part of the state, but I guess seeing what rolled out across the state over the last couple of weeks, what are your thoughts to, I guess, what we experienced at the very end of summer?
Yeah, it was a different summer. The build-up wasn't too bad, and then towards the end of summer it really just hit. So it was very surprising, actually. So.
And Brendan, obviously, a lot of operations was happening. A lot of our districts and regions were very, engaged in not only preparing through readiness, but also through the response phase. But a lot of people probably don't realise it is a whole of CFA activity, and particularly for those catastrophic days, we enacted our catastrophic fire plan twice, which saw certain functions and activities undertaken by the entire organisation. From an ICT perspective, as CIO, step me through, I guess, what your considerations were and some of the things that you had to do to make sure that we were ready for those big days.
There's a couple of different sides to it. We need to make sure all our systems are working, so people are getting the right information, the right data for the planning. But also out at the fire front, we had people out there servicing the radios, making sure the radios were working. We had repeater stations deployed in the areas, and we also had support people close to where the fire fronts were, so that if anything went wrong, technically we could help out in a very timely manner. We obviously put in change freezers, so we don't do changes will often cause systems to not operate as expected. So we do a change freeze when it's catastrophic or even getting close to catastrophic, just to make sure, and try and keep things running as smoothly as possible for the whole organisation.
And did we get through fairly unscathed? How did things stand up?
Yeah, from an IT point of view, we got through fairly unscathed. We had a couple of little issues, and a lot of that is some changes as we're talking to the state control centres and making sure that we're sharing the right data with them. If we've made some changes or they've made some changes in their systems or ours, and they don't talk as well as they should, but we're able to fix those pretty quickly, which was good.
No, well, thank you to you and your teams. And all the teams across CFA that were able to really come together and work as one in stepping up for our Victorian community. So that was fantastic. So Mark, as I said, we're in sunny Cobram. We're close to the border, and I noticed that good folk in New South Wales and the RFS have put the barbed wire back up. I think they're scared I might just step back over the border. Tell me about your brigade and about Cobram.
Oh, well, Cobram, the brigade was formed in 1907. We moved into this new home in 2016. We have 30 odd members on the books with probably 15 active firefighters. And yeah, we all get along fairly well, and good it's just a really good place to be. So.
And Urban Brigade?
Yes, Urban Brigade.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about some of the risks in the brigade area.
Well, we do border on some pretty dense bushland on either side, or pretty much, on either side of us and across the river. We have the bushland that goes pretty much separates Cobram and Barooga, and then it just follows the river right along. So, and we also have quite a few stubble crops out in the area as well. So.
One of I think I reflect on, the 2019-20 bushfire season. One of the key features that was discussed during the Natural Hazards Bushfire Royal Commission was around interoperability between states, states working together and the like. Talk me through, I guess, how. Do you do much interstate operations, and what does that look like?
Yep, so we have a really good relationship with Barooga RFS and Tocumwal RFS, and also Tocumwal Fire Brigade. We support them on a few of their calls, and they support us. And we are in the process of trying to organise more training between the two services, and especially with the New South Wales Fire Brigades, because they support us for all our structure fires. And Barooga and Tokum all support us for our grass and scrubs. So we have a really good relationship with all our neighbouring brigades, but yeah, especially our New South Wales fire
And that's not uncommon for particularly our river communities, because most of the larger population centres are on the Victorian side.
Yes.
Your Milduras, your Echukas, Cobrams, and the like. And I guess that we are responding quite often into New South Wales to support, but as you say, it's also reciprocated.
Yes, exactly, yep. So I get along really well with the captain over in Barooga, and if I need his assistance, I'll just give him a quick phone call, say you're about to be paged, and he does the same for us, and it's just great. It just works really well. So
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about what sort of appliances that you have. Obviously, we've got the medium pumper here behind us this evening. What are some of the other appliances in Cobram?
So yeah, we've got the Scania, great appliance. We have our crew cab tanker 1, which is a 3.4C, and we also have a light tanker 2 also at our disposal. And we've just upgraded to our new Ford Ranger FCV. So they're our 4 appliances we have in the fleet.
So what would you say would be, I guess some of the bigger challenges for the brigade?
Some of the challenges we find, like with especially responding to out into the bush, trying to get accurate location of where the emergency is, because the tracks aren't of the best shape at the moment, and there's not much signage out there as well. And also trying to get the large tanker out there is a little bit, with the narrow tracks and whatnot, but that's why we utilise our tanker 2 majority for our bush call-outs. So.
Training, that sort of stuff, how's that going for you?
Yeah, really well. We're only training once a month at the moment, trying to pick that up a lot more. Our new training officer, Steph, she's hit the ground running and organised. We've got our next 6 months worth of training already planned and what we're doing. So.
Oh, awesome. No, that's fantastic. Look, certainly a fantastic brigade,
Yes.
Great community, and you've done incredibly well in pulling this together and bringing what is a fantastic facility. So that's great to see. Lots of people tuning in tonight to watch the forum. We've got from Mariong, from Lakes Entrance, and a big call out, a shout out to Mr. Cattell from Wagga Wagga. We've also got Grasdale there, so lots of people joining in from across the state, and that's fantastic, and a few Northerners watching us as well. So that's absolutely fantastic to see. Well, it is a big weekend in the northeast this weekend, and we've seen the running of the VFBV CFA State Championships, so urban seniors, rural juniors and rural seniors championships this weekend. It is an awesome weekend, and I look forward to this every year, and some of the highlights that we get to see. We've got a bit of a video to show on some of the highlights of the championships. We had the juniors last weekend, the seniors this weekend. Let's have a look to see what it's all about. Wow, what a fantastic weekend. I know it will be. And the rumours have been running strong. The TAB and Sportsbet running off the app there on the dividends, or the potential dividends for the winning team up against the Chiefs Chargers this weekend. I've got to tell you, we've got a crack team together. We've been training for months. I reckon we're just going to smash whoever we go up against, and if we're not at least paying $5, there's something going wrong there. So look, in all jest, it's going to be a fantastic weekend. It's something I look forward to annually. If you are around, you have the ability to come to Shepparton, to Maroopna, at the footy ground there. Come and have a look, say good day, have a look in the corporate tent. There's a lot of new stuff going on in there that we're seeking volunteer feedback on and showing some new technologies and the like. One of which is our radio replacement program. So Shane, tell us about the radio replacement program and what it's all about, and why is it such a big deal for CFA?
Yeah, thanks, Chief. So, as most people will probably know, we've had the Tate radios for a long time now, and all good things come to an end. So we've had to replace the Tate radios, and we've gone through a very extensive selection process to come to the conclusion of the Motorola radios. We ran a pilot last year, and Cobram Brigade was integral to that pilot. They were one of our pilot brigades, along with other brigades in 22, 13, 14, 5 across the state. So we've got a really great range of members. So I certainly want to thank Matt and the Cobram Brigade for participating in the pilot. We got fantastic feedback from all the brigades that participated in the pilot, so it was really good. The pilot showed us that the radios we've chosen do meet our needs, and also bring a lot of additional features to the radios as well. Most people will understand that these radios look a little bit different to perhaps the radios we've had in the past. The obvious one being a large touchscreen on these portable radios. We can use touchscreen with gloves to do channel changes through that. We can also use voice control to change channel. There's fantastic noise cancellation on the microphones that testing showed behind pump operators and things couldn't hear any noise, so great features on that. We also have some other added functionality such as mapping, where we can actually see our location. We can see where other radios are on the fire ground. Great for instant controllers, strike team leaders to be able to see perhaps where their trucks and radios are on the fire ground. Other little things such as night mode, as I mentioned before, voice control. We also, the key thing is they are multi-band radios, so they're not just VHF for our RMR network, they'll work on the MMR network, and importantly cross-border as well with our interstate agencies. Really important to be able to have one radio that can now actually work across the borders as well.
Particularly strong for this area and along the South Australian borders. It just makes interoperability so much easier.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I know one of the things that...
Match 514.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to ask. I was speaking to a lot of people that have been involved in the pilot, and they reckon the voice activation is the bee's knees. Do you just want to give us a bit of a demo?
Put me on the spot now. So, yeah, so channel 522.
522.
Just got it turned up there a little bit, but an automatic voice control changed it from 514 to 522. So we found the feedback from our members during the pilot was that they could leave the radio in their pocket of the PPC, change channel through the remote speaker microphone without having to pull it out. They can press the button to even verify what channel they're on. Really helped them. The large screens also helped people at night, perhaps like me that don't wear the glasses necessarily at night, just to hear what's going on. Another great feature on these, and you'll see it's brought up very quickly there, is a feature called Smart Connect, which actually has a Telstra 4G SIM card in these radios, which is something very new. So where we have an area of RMR coverage that perhaps the portable radios don't work too well due to coverage, particularly indoors, the portable radios will automatically find the Telstra 4G network and route that Firecom traffic through the radios, seamless to the user. So hopefully we can really help some of our, particularly in-building black spots and things like that.
So Matt, you've been part of the trial, I guess. Is he spinning, or is he on the money?
He's definitely on the money. They are a U-Butte radio, and we're in love with them here at Cobram. because of the new features and whatnot, but especially in a couple of our black spots when it hooks up to the 4G network, you've still got radio comms, and especially out in the bush, you need to have your radio comms. And the multi-agency channels as well, it's just amazing. And we can talk to our New South Wales counterparts by simply switching over to their radio channel, which is great.
And so that's the portable, Shane, but what about, are we replacing the radios in the truck as well?
Yeah, we certainly are, Chief. So we've also got the mobile radios as well. So again, they're Tate, so we're replacing our mobiles in trucks. So the one you see on the screen now is what you'll see in our heavy vehicles, so our pumpers, tankers, etc. Very similar perhaps to the Tate, just looks a little bit different, but again, very similar functionality, so quite easy to use. Same in FCVs, ultralights, where we had a handheld control head, we've got a version of that as well. So it replaces the truck radios, portable radios, the local bases in fire stations, and also the bag radios as well. So all of our Tate radios are being replaced with the Motorola's.
The Motorola's, yeah. And as you said, operates on the RMR, the MMR, so our brigades that operate, particularly 7, 8, 14, 13, in and out of fire district with FRB.
Yep.
In that MMR environment, one radio can do both. Do both systems. That's quite phenomenal. Couple of things to touch on. Matt, you're pretty popular in the chat, my friend. So one for you. And we've got a question tonight from Steve.
G'day guys. Steve Butchers, Tungamark Brigade. The question is with the radios. We've got 4 Tates in our brigade, and if we turn the things on, be lucky if they last 5 minutes. So our concern is how soon are we going to get these?
Fantastic question.
It is a great question. Good to see you, Steve.
You too, Shane.
It's the number one question everyone asks is when are we getting them? So the good news is we have signed the agreement with Motorola, and we've actually started to take some delivery of radios into the SLC. And District 14, which happens to be the 1st Brigade, they were a pilot district as well, but District 14 brigades have commenced their training. So they're currently rolling out all the training to their members at the moment, and we expect to start seeing radios delivered out into District 14 at the end of April. And once we ramp up, we're going to be moving fairly quickly throughout the districts. All up, it'll be about 15 months. But the important thing to address Steve's point about the batteries is once we start the rollout, we can recover our Tates. A lot of Tates, sometimes quite a few Tates out there have got almost new batteries still that have been replaced very recently. So we can actually start to provide some of those Tate batteries back to the districts that are perhaps further down the chain to get the Motorola's to try and resolve that issue.
And we have a stock that we're doing that now. So Steve, if you reach out to the district, there are some batteries that we can provide.
All I heard is Brendan's promised you batteries, mate. So take it to the bank, I say. So another question here, Matt, around from Harold actually. He says, talking about the brigade, the bushland around Cobram, more ultralights and/or slip-on type appliances. Could they come in handy for your bushland areas?
Oh, absolutely. There's quite a fair distance between us and some ultralights and slip-ons. We could definitely use some more slip-ons in the district, but at the moment we use what we've got and they do the job.
Again, some questions here for yourself, Shane, around, it looks like people are loving the radio. Some commentary around how, radio's almost morphing into, mobile phone type products here, but will a hydrant map overlay be available on the portable?
Yeah, it's a great question. We did actually talk to Motorola about that. It's not going to be currently available just to start with, but it's potentially a future development, but it's a discussion we can have. As I demonstrated the mapping, we may be able to try and put a hydrant layer in there, but in the future.
And I know you're constantly talking to Motorola about enhancements and those sort of things. So I think it's a fantastic suggestion. And Joseph has chimed in as well, saying he seconds that discussion about whether there's the ability to insert some of that more critical community assets and that sort of stuff on the radio. One of the things I sort of get, I can see the real benefit in, as you say, it's when they're being used for in large shopping centres, hospitals, schools, those sort of larger type facilities, is that being able to see the other portables on the map, and particularly when someone hits the emergency button, it's right there, in the incident controller's hand. A, who's in trouble, and B, where are they? So I think that's really safety improvement and the like. If anyone wants to know where they can get more information on the radio replacement rollout or the program, where do they go?
So we do keep the members online page up to date, but the great thing is we've also got a display at this weekend's championships. So come along, see us at the championships and meet some of the rest of the team, and happy to talk to you about the radios.
Awesome. And I do note the comments in the chat around not everyone in the state being able to make their way to Mooroopna this weekend. No, we fully appreciate that. Which is why we are making sure the information available at Mooroopna is readily available on Members Online, but also through our district networks and the like. So thanks for the shout out in that regard. Well, it's that time of the month again where Deputy Chief Officer Rohan Luke tells us what the busy little team in training have been up to, and this month is no different. So let's hear from Rohan on what's going on in training.
Role, I really want to work on improvements needed to ensure CFA can meet the training needs of the organisation going forward. And that's the work that we've been doing in the last 10 months. What we're looking to do is to ensure our training and our delivery of training meets the needs of our organisation and our members. And we'll be focusing on that over the next years to ensure that we can meet the needs of our organisation and members, ensuring that they are able to operate safely in their communities. There's two things that I want to talk about tonight. The first one is our training enhancement plan. The training enhancement plan has been derived from the work around CFA's operating model. The operating model itself was developed through consultation with members in the field to identify the various aspects of the organisation that needed to improve to ensure we're ready for the future. And training is a key component of that. The aim of the model is to ensure that we can mature CFA's training model into the future. And it'll focus on the most pressing challenges that we have with our current model. It'll look to include work around our role clarity, to ensure that people within learning and development, ODT, and our instructors, both volunteer and paid, have clarity in what their roles and responsibilities are to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our members. It'll look at compliance around our remediation work for RTO governance and ensure that we can maintain and enhance our RTO stature into the future. It'll look at our learning management system, which is a key component for our members when they're entering training programs and when they're looking for statements of attainment and accessing important training material. We want our LMS to be the point of contact for our members going forward in our training areas. It'll look at our training development work plan and our schedule to ensure that we're able to maintain the capacity and the modernisation of our training programs and be able to replicate them in a range of ways to ensure that the demographic of our membership are able to achieve and to complete training programs easily and accessibly. It'll look at our campus management, and we want to look to improve our campuses that are currently in place, ensure that we can maximise the utilisation of the campuses and make them a great experience, as we see they are for our members. This will take us several years to work through, but we're already making steady progress, and I'm really looking forward to the outcomes as we continue to build our training enhancement program for CFA. The second thing I want to talk about is our instructor conferences. We're establishing 8 instructor conferences in May and June that'll be delivered in a number of locations across the state, essentially based on locations around our training campuses. What we're aiming to do is to invite our volunteer instructors to the conferences to pick up on the current things that are being developed in training, to talk about some of our learning management system, our assessment processes, and to do some workshopping around how we can continue to support and grow our volunteer instructors into the future. I think there'll be a really important process and an important opportunity for us to hear from our volunteers, from our instructor cohort, and to understand what's important to them and to share some of our ideas about how we can be successful together in the future. I'm really looking forward to it. So that concludes tonight's update. Chief, I'll pass back to you.
Thanks, Rohan, but as the Danells Directs ads say, but wait, there's more. When Rohan put that together, there's a few other things that has subsequently happened that he wanted everyone to be aware about. And that's a scan or a QR code that people are able to scan to get information on. We'll leave that up for a little bit to allow you to madly either scan it or take a photo of it so you can to scan later. But it really does touch on some of the most recent and new things that training are pushing out at the moment. The new vehicle induction videos, our general firefighter update in terms of the renewal and some of the outcomes there, our immersive learning programs, LMS online assessment, and probably what's really most exciting about all of those is our training pathways. A lot of our members for a lot of times have been saying, we want a training pathway, we want to understand how to get from a recruit volunteer coming into a brigade all the way through to potentially a level 3 incident controller. And that pathway document really does highlight very clearly and succinctly how you can get those steps and what some of the prerequisites are and if you do the course in the respective orders, how you are going to get there and remain compliant from an RTO perspective, but also have a journey that matches your needs. So really keen to get feedback on that. It's in draft. We're talking about it at Champs. We've been talking about it with our joint training committee of the VFBV. It's also been floated in other areas across the state. It's really, really important. This is a foundational piece to our operational capabilities for the next 20 years. So I really do need you to have a look, and I really do need our members to give your thoughts, views and opinions to the pathway, both how it looks, but also the courses and the learnings throughout that pathway journey. So absolutely encourage everyone to have a look. Well, it's that time of night where we're going to look at something very shiny and very new, and Danny's going to take us through the new light tanker.
Today from
Well,
Rohan,
as
and welcome
always,
to
it
Cobram.
wouldn't be a volunteer forum without some sort of...
Thanks. So
we're just in the process of swapping Danny's microphone out. It appears the battery in the portable mic has had a little thingo. So we're just in the process of swapping that out. We'll be back with him very shortly. While we're talking about that, I guess Matt, you had a look at the truck out the front of the apron there. What's your initial thoughts?
Very interested. We'd like one parked in our station. So
Well, it's only 3 bays.
yeah, I'm willing to trade one. But no, it's a very, very nice piece of equipment, and yeah, we're really impressed with it.
Excellent. Well, we've swapped the batteries. We're ready to go. Back to you, Danny.
Thanks, Chief. Take 2. So a very good evening to our members both here at Cobram and also listening online. Look, it's great to be here in Cobram this evening to give our members, or most of you, a first look at a next generation 2,000 litre 4x4 crew cab chassis. Joining me tonight is one of our engineering project managers, Matthew Chick. Matthew, thanks for bringing up the truck from Maroopna this morning and for joining me here this evening.
All right, thanks, Danny.
So before we actually take a wander around the truck, I've got some questions for you. So Matthew, how did the next generation 2,000 litre tank about? So what was the tanker come about? So what was the genesis for this project?
So the main point is we're looking to replace 2,000 litre tankers, single cabs, such as 2.2 and 2.4Ds. But we need to get something that can fit in the stations. So trucks are getting bigger and bigger. We're trying to keep it the same size.
Yeah, thanks. It's certainly a limitation, some of our station sizes out there. So who's actually been involved in the design of this particular tanker?
So there's a working party put together in 2020. So we've got some end users, VFBV, operations, fleet engineering, and the DMO network as well had their say.
Yeah, and what was the role of the working group?
To put together a performance specification, something that we can go to market with and design to.
Okay, and having said that, Matthew, what is the primary role of this truck, I guess?
Primary role, firefighting, bushfires, scrub fires, running grass fires, and that urban support.
Yeah, great, thanks. And how long has it taken from the time that the working group was brought together? How long has it taken from then till now to actually having a truck that we can show people?
The working group was formed in 2020, so it's a bit over 3 years to get this truck to here.
Yeah, that's a fair amount of time. What were some of the challenges, I guess, during that time?
We've got technical challenges mainly. So we've got keeping the chassis small, getting a crew deck awning onto it, ultra high pressure pump, and then the old COVID challenges as well. So
yeah, global supply issues.
Supply issues, that's the one.
Yeah, okay, thanks. And I guess last question before we start to have a look around. What are some of the improvements or main features of this truck?
Main features: 2,000 litre crew cab, improved access grab handles, ultra high pressure pump, which is 20 litres a minute. We've got our low pressure pump at 450. We've got improved deck access, so we've got positive latching doors, 1 metre high sides, as well as the crew deck awning.
Yeah, great, thanks for that. And I think there's a bit of technology in the cabin too that we're going to have a look at to finish off.
Certainly is. We've got a fridge and a touchscreen control as well. So
I'm sure that'll make our members pretty happy. All right, well look, let's have a walk around and we'll point out some of those features as we go around. So just we'll move down the driver's side first, and as I said, we'll come back and we'll do the cabin to finish off. So just on this side, Matthew, what can we show our members out there?
yeah, so this is the 1 metre high sides with the positive latching door. So we can open that up. We've also got the new crew deck awning. So this one comes from the tank forward. Can help in the entrapment situation.
Okay, and that's to offer some protection on the rear deck if you happen to be caught in a burnover. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, great. So otherwise the crew would be in the cabin, but if they are on the back, they've got that protection. I see down here, Matt, there's a vehicle charge point. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So we're trialling electric chainsaws on this, and we need to work out a way to manage the battery. So charge point on here. It's a magnetic one, which reduces the risk of the 240 volts on trucks.
Great, all right, thank you. And I see, lots of yellow grab handles and steps for access, so good safety features on this truck.
That's right, we try to build the standard.
Yeah, great, thanks. All right, A-class foam down there, obviously that's where you store and draw from. So what about this locker, Matthew? It looks like a fairly empty locker at the moment.
Yeah, so we've spent a bit of time, the working group are keen to get a lot of space, so gear bags, extra equipment, all fits in.
So the old gear bag issue no longer a problem on this truck, is that right?
Not on this one.
Let's hope so anyway. All right, and I see a suction hose down there. I take it that's a pre-connected suction hose?
It is standard on all our tankers, from ultralights all the way up to ultra heavies.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, and a bit of mechanical stuff in there. What are we looking at in this side panel?
So a change for light tankers. This one has a ladder storage, but also on display here's the pump with the ultra high pressure pump running off the front of it.
Yeah, okay, great. And it's got a radiator, so I take it that's a liquid cooled engine on these light tankers?
Certainly is.
Yeah, right. And what advantage has that got?
Helps us with the noise, mostly.
Great, all right. And diesel powered, obviously.
Diesel powered.
So still running a closed fuel system from the truck?
That's right, fuel truck supply.
Great, all right, thanks. Let's move around the back and have a look at the back panel. So just talk us through what we've got here, Matthew.
So on the back here you can see improved livery. So we've got the chevron, which is the accepted rear livery. We've been able to move the standpipe to the back with the new 1 metre sides, so everything's easy to grab. We've got our standard pump control in the middle, the similar buttons you would get used to, and we've got a Quenchmaster foam system, so well accepted. We've also got, off to the side here, we've got our ultra high pressure reel, hose reel.
Okay, I was just going to ask, what's that funny looking branch on the corner there? Can you show us that?
Sure thing. So this is the same typical branch that you would see on the 24Cs, medium tankers. It's 20 litres a minute, 100 bar, fog or jet.
Great, and that runs off that ultra-high pressure pump that we saw driven off the front of that engine. Okay, and do I now get the handle out and manually wind that reel back in?
No, this is an electric-coast reel. Just press the button.
I'm sure that'll also make our members very happy. Nice. All right. Is there anything else on the back here worth mentioning?
I think we're there.
We're there. All right. Let's move around to the near side. So what have we got in this back locker?
Just to show the new electric hose reel with the manual rewind if we need it.
Okay. And up above that, we've got our crew protection filter. I see.
That's right.
All right, great. All right, well, we might close that locker up, and I might meet you in the cabin in a few moments. Thanks. So while Matthew and Marnie are moving around to the cabin, so on this side again, we've got a quite a large locker, nicely laid out. By doing that, and as Matthew said, we've now gone 100 mils higher on the sides of this truck, which gives us extra locker room. Good LED lighting, so good lighting inside the locker. And this locker is obviously where we have our branches and hoses stored. Again, some chainsaw equipment up there. Our long handle equipment storage down there, so a couple of rake hose and the long handle shovel under there. Lower side locker here, chainsaw locker. And as Matthew said, on this truck, as we sort of consider moving away from flammable liquid type equipment, as in petrol, and look to alternative power sources, we're trialling this truck with an electric steel chainsaw. And up in this locker, you'll see there's a bit of power technology and a battery charger. This will have 2 chargers, and with 3 batteries. Yep, with 3 batteries. So 2 on charge and 1 in the saw, it will give us infinite power for the saw. So as that battery goes flat, you just move them about. That 24 volt magnetic inlet on the other side will power this up when in station, and then when the truck's running, when you're out and about, this technology here, the battery management system, will keep those batteries charged. So again, as you can see on the side here and in this door here, plenty of yellow safety features, and we'll move around. Matthew's ready in the cabin, so we'll move around and have a look in there. Thank you, Matthew. What are you showing us now?
So we've got the new cabin control screen, so we've got increased operation for the same amount of space, which is really helpful for us. We've got pump control, so pump start, stop, throttle up, throttle down with the pump pressure displayed. We've got water tank level, emergency lights and siren always visible. We've also got the turnout page, so when the lights are on we can see what's happening outside the truck from inside. Got our scene light control, lights on, lights off.
And our members inside are looking at all the red and blue flashing lights out there, Matthew.
That's good to see. We've also got a bit more feedback, so we get a lot of warnings on the cabins now with doors open, lockers open. So we've got a list now, we can see what's happening. You can see here, near side lockers open, the offside lockers open.
That's great, and I guess one of the advantages of that, Matthew, having it all on that touchscreen is, no longer do we have multiple switches and that in the cabin, and having to remember what switch is what, or trying to fumble around, trying to find a switch.
Yeah, that's one of the features, and we're trying to have some information down the bottom of the screen that it gives a member a prompt to remember which thing to do next. An example is the entrapment checklist. You can press that anytime and think about what you would do in a burnover.
Great, well that's a great use of technology, Matthew. Thank you for that. Is there anything else in the cabin you wanted to specifically point out?
Not so much. That's okay. There's the 3D tour online, so you can get in and pretend you're here.
Okay, so with that, I've just got a couple of more questions to close us off before we throw back to the Chief. So what is the next step for this particular truck or these trucks, Matthew?
The next step for this particular truck is it'll be off to Marupna tomorrow for the State Championships, followed by a district road show around the state.
And what about for the actual concept itself? So what about for light tankers in the future? What's the next steps for that?
The next step is we need to look at a BA variant. we need to cover that risk.
Okay, great. And you mentioned a road tour, so I'd take it when members get a chance to have a look at this truck, that they're able to provide some feedback.
That's right. There's a QR code with the vehicle. There'll also be some paper feedback forms. Provide feedback on specific things, the screen, the fridge in the back, those kind of things.
Yeah, great. Thanks. And one more question from me, Matthew, and I think you've already in part answered it, but how can our members that aren't here tonight or can't get along to championships, how can they find out a bit more information or get a look at this truck?
Yeah, sure. On members online, there's a 3D tour. It's live now. You can click through. There's some spec sheets attached to it as well.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Matthew. Great looking truck, and thanks again for bringing it up tonight. So there you have it, folks. The new 2,000 litre 4x4 crew cab tanker. As Matthew said, we're using tonight to launch the 3D tour. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. Matthew and I will try and get to them this evening. Thank you, Chief. Back to you.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for taking us on that walkthrough. That's absolutely fantastic. What I might do is I might ask, and welcome to the panel, Stephanie and Sue. What I might do is I might ask you guys what you think. I know you've had a quick look of the truck and everything there, and then what I might also do is ask Shane if you can come back to the panelists to the microphone here, and also Danny if you can make your way to the microphone there as well. Lots of questions in the chat, some really good questions and the like that I want to be able to ask the team. And I know it was in the chat there and in jest, but no, the battery on the remote mic was not a Tate battery. So what do we think, guys?
Well, very nifty, I reckon. Definitely handy getting into the bush. Very accessible. Being short, I think it would be quite easy to get up. Some of the big ones are acrobatics getting up there. Yeah, I think it's very, very good.
Sue, any thoughts?
Well, I'm from South Wangaratta Brigade, and we're actually looking for a new additional truck at the moment, and it fits the bill really nicely, Jason. So yeah, thanks for that. But I really like the space in the cabin too. There's less clutter and more space. If we do need to go into an entrapment, that we've got the space to be able to move and get into the right position easily. And the fitting on the back, it does look a bit like a camper trailer, but it looks like there's layers and layers of protection for others that you might pick up out in the incident ground. So it's got some great features, particularly safety ones.
Absolutely, and we're going to touch on some diversity factors a little later on. I think you mentioned it very earlier around height off the ground and that sort of thing. How important is it that when we're designing new appliances like the new light tanker, that we design them with everybody in mind?
I think it's very beneficial because we've got a lot of short people in the brigade, as well as quite a few tall people, so you kind of got to get in that middle where people aren't hitting their head, but at the same time we can, us short people, exactly, where you're not, trying to jump onto the tyre and then, jump up to the ladder and yeah.
Awesome. Some questions that have come in here, and I'll just ask Shane to step up to the microphone. So Gary Cook Esquire, long-time listener, first-time caller, asks, there's something to do with the number of portables versus the number of BA sets?
Yeah, so one of the big changes members will notice is an increase in the number of portable radios that they're going to get. So previously we used to issue one portable radio per pair of BA. This time round there'll be a portable radio for each BA set on the truck.
Yeah, that's awesome. So my next two questions, and I know he's trying to scoot off, but to Dan. Come on up to the microphone, Dan.
Making sure Matthew's close, because he's my technical support.
Come on in, Matt. Yeah, Danny's phoned a friend. He's 50-50 here. He's in the hot seat. Question in terms of how does the light tanker turning circle compare to the 3/4D?
Wow, that's a big question. I'd say it would outperform by a fair way the 3/4D. I don't have those figures on me now. Matthew?
It's the same as the light tankers since 2011.
Yep.
Sorry, it's the same as the light tankers that have been built since 2011. Same wheelbase, same turning circle.
Excellent. And when will people start to see, it'll probably do a bit of a roadshow, but when we will start to see some operational trials?
So we've actually got another one under manufacture at the moment, so unit number 2, which is due in the next few weeks, I think, Matthew.
Quality testing it on Tuesday.
Yep. So look, the road show, will occur over the next few months, 5 to 6 months. But we're pretty keen to get at least one of the new trucks into a brigade as soon as we can. So towards the end of this year, so that we can start doing those, those actual operational tests on the fireground.
Terry asks, 2,000 litre tankers are extensively used on bush tracks. Concerned the drafting locker will probably be smashed off pretty quickly. And then he asks about the turning circle. What are your thoughts around the angle of attack with the drafting locker?
Oh, look, I mean, all vehicles have got some vulnerable points off-road, but I guess it's that comes down to training and situational awareness. Be aware of the limitations of any vehicle you're in, not just a light tanker, but any vehicle you're in. Just be aware of those limitations that it might have, particularly with, going into dips or ramp overs and that sort of thing. Yep. But I mean, it is a four-wheel drive truck, so it does have that off-road capability, but it will have some, as every truck has, some limitations.
Lots of comments about the light tank in the chat, as you would expect. Yeah, everyone loves new technology, new trucks. A lot of comments around the touch panel in the dash.
Are they good comments, Chief?
Yeah, they're good. They're good comments. They're good. They're good comments. My good mate Eric Collier says the interface is much better than the old multiple buttons, and it looks good. So it's passed the Eric test. So you're doing all right so far. Although he does question the drafting locker. A good question here from Gary is, how does the light tanker compare to the New South Wales RFS Cat 7? He talks about cost-wise. You probably don't necessarily know the answer to that one. But I guess the second part of his question was, why aren't we building a common tanker with the RFS, or more importantly with other states and territories and other fire services?
It's a really good question. I guess each agency, has their ideas on what they need to suit their risk. I know there is some work going on about some standardisation or minimum specifications through the AFAC Fleet Technical Group, but really that's about having a minimum spec. So, for a light tanker, for example, what are the minimum requirements agencies should consider? But then obviously each agency will then consider, well, what additions to that do they need? But yeah, look, it's a great question. From a fleet perspective and from a procurement perspective, to have similar trucks right across all agencies would be an advantage to all agencies, not just CFA.
Awesome. Thanks all, and thanks for walking us through, and congratulations, Matt. A job well done. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions asked over the weekend and lots of people wanting to crawl through.
And I might just acknowledge those working group members as well, Chief, if I could. They've done a great job and had many after-hours meetings to get this truck to where it is. So a shout out to those members as well.
Yeah, look, and it is a collaborative effort between our volunteers and our engineering team. So thank you very much, and again, job well done. Well, talking about all things emergency services, let's have a chat about women in emergency services. And as I said, we've got Stephanie Thompson here and Sue Sheldrick. 8th of March, we just recently celebrated International Women's Day with the theme Inspire and Inclusion. Tell us a bit about what we're on for tonight.
I might start. So it's been a great opportunity for us to come tonight after International Women's Day. That Thursday was the day of the big fires and things, so it was really pivotal, I think. It was great that this was postponed, but it also personally gave me the opportunity to go along and participate in some of the webinars and the information sessions that were going on right around Australia to really, why are we having International Women's Day, and internationally as well as within Australia. So a little bit about me that might give you a context. Been with CFA now for just over 40 years, and really early on, I think I was fortunate enough to be declared the first CFA captain back in 1994, so 30 years ago now. So it was quite a reflection thing to look back and go, well, what has really changed? And Steph and I were talking earlier that really in 20 years there are some things that haven't changed that we still have issues with. Yay, we can tick off the two-piece ensemble workwear and specially designed for women workwear. Yay about that one. But also there's still some things about the recruitment and retention of female volunteers in all roles within CFA. But the AFAC have done some research saying that about 1/3 of the female volunteers that do sign up for some reason leave. So it's about keeping the members happy, and it's not just about females, it's about everyone, part of our community, whether it's the different cultural or community groups. If it's the short people or the tall people that we might need for certain jobs, all that diversity is really important, and it's important that our brigades represent our community because we are part of our community. When things go wrong, it's that commitment to our community that drives us to keep ourselves safe but to try to work with the community at the same time.
I couldn't agree more, and a fantastic introduction there. And look, again, congratulations for being a leader, breaking ground for all our female captains to follow. I think it would have been very tough back then, I'm sure. And,
yes, wasn't without its challenges, but yeah, some things have changed, but I've got some statistics here that if you'd like me to talk about them.
Go.
I thought at the time I'd sort of broken that glass ceiling, and not intentionally, just going to elections, and I was the person that walked away with the red helmet. But in reviewing the latest magazine, the Brigade magazine that only just arrived yesterday, the number of female captains is currently 2% of CFA's workforce. So that was a figure in there that really staggered me, because the other part of the reason I was invited tonight is I'm also an SES volunteer and have been a staff member until recently when I retired. But an equivalent to CFA's captains, the SES, what they call controllers, and the current number of female controllers in SES is 23%. So 2% CFA, 23% SES. What's the difference, and why is the difference? And that's something when I first joined SES as a staff member, I wanted to find out what the difference was. But whatever happens, it is that we work as one, the multi-agency approach, where we work together. So let's share some of the best learnings that we've each found along the journey. But the name of International Women's Day, investing in women, is part of it. And I'll talk a bit more about it later, but I'll hand over to Steph.
So for you, Steph, you are seeking to join the CFA Women's Advisory Network. What attracted you to want to reach out and join the network?
So I actually got talking to one of the women in the District 22 office, and you know, we got talking about the lack of numbers for women, how it's hard to keep female firefighters, and you know, it just really, I was excited when I found out about it, because I just didn't realise that it was even a thing. And I just wanted to be part of that, be part of the conversation, let people's voices be heard, really, and try and make some sort of change.
And that network is a very powerful network, because it has actually resulted in some big things in our organisation around lobbying for and being successful in getting government investment into diversity improvements to fire stations. So additional toilets, change rooms and the like for women, as well as spearheading and tackling the issue of appropriate fitting PPC. It's still a long way to go and a lot of work to go to done there. And of course, going back to our International Women's Day Forum, we spent a lot of time talking about investing in research, technologies, and making sure that we get the right fit for the right shape. So that's very important. So what? So I guess both women in CFA, chiefs here. I'm listening. What can we do better?
So I've got a bit of a wish list. It's not all this paper here isn't a wish list, but just looking at what are the real game changers to really make our workforce for the future. That was a phrase that came out of International Women's Day. But I think between the community change, so over the 40 years I've been involved with CFA, the community has changed, CFA has changed a lot, but also with climate change. That's the other wild card in what we're working with at the moment. So we need to be as skilled, as safe, as well-resourced as we can. But ultimately, if we get those catastrophic type of days, that's where it doesn't matter how many trucks we have or how many people we have out on the fire ground, the incident or the fire is going to be too powerful. So some of the work I do sometimes works in incident management teams in the public information, and that might be all we're able to do is communicate with the community while the technology is still there, and those old-fashioned things of maybe going house to house. That's something I'd like to add in with when we're working with CFA, and I guess having a foot in both camps, and every now and then I've got to remember to flick my brain over, particularly if I'm on the radio talking about things, because we don't yet call everything the same thing. So that would be a wish list. But we are talking about things like the warnings are now one source of truth. The information from Vic Emergency, the radio stations. It doesn't matter if it's a fire or a storm or a flood. We're now calling a lot of those things the same. So, hey, we're on the progress to really we work as one. But I would like to say a hi out there to all that. Well, I call myself a double agent, SES and CFA. Some people say they're cross-dressers. But hi to all the people that are out there, because I know there's heaps of CFA and SES volunteers that just choose the colour of their overalls according to what their community needs you to do on that day. So well done to all the people out there.
No, fantastic. And I can sense the passion in you, and I guess that's why you're the Community Safety Coordinator. Yeah, some really wise words of wisdom in there, and you know, bringing that forward. Matt, one of the challenges for senior male leaders in our organisation is sometimes we need to keep our mouths shut and our ears open. You've heard Sue and Stephanie talk about their experiences and where we need to go.
Yep.
What are your thoughts to that?
We treat here at Cobram, we have not as many female members as I'd like, but we treat all people within our brigade with respect, and to us, we're just one. We're all firefighters. We're here to do a job, and I believe anyone can do it, no matter what sex you are.
Very, very, very sage advice there.
Yep.
You highlighted the stats there, and particularly from senior leadership roles in the organisation, that we've got a long way to go. There is some movement closer towards parity for some of the other more administrative roles in the brigade, which is heartening to see. But we want to see more female lieutenants and captains and deputy groups and groups across our organisation. You never know, Steph and Sue, that there might be some women out there right now, because the forum is streamed worldwide. It's not just limited to people within CFA. Anyone in the member of the public is watching tonight. If there is a female out there or woman out there sort of thinking about, I'd like to know a bit more about fire brigade, or I've always thought I could do that, but maybe I think I can't. What's some advice to them?
Just jump in and do it. Honestly, it's fantastic. Everyone is just so lovely. If you've got questions, people are more than happy to ask. Answer. There's no silly questions. Everyone is lovely. You can learn so many new skills. And it helps your resume too if you do want to, use some of that. Like, I got my truck licence through the CFA as well, and so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steph's role as trainer, brigade trainer, is really important, and to have the online training so accessible, you can do it from home. You might be able to sneak some in at work in your lunchtime or whatever it might be, but to be able to do that or come into the fire station and do training with others is a really good way to sort of balance that, the family and work-life balance kind of thing. So, that progress, and maybe one of the positives that's come out of COVID is to be able to do so much learning from home. But that face-to-face is so important, and that's on my wish list, is something I'd really like to flag about the importance of leadership training, because leadership isn't just being in charge of a team, it's about understanding yourself, So courses like, and in the past over these years, I've had the opportunity to do some great leadership training, but even something like fire line leadership, it's now got a new name, but it wasn't about managing fires. It was about understanding yourself and learning about yourself as a leader and what are the important characteristics of being a leader to work with others and understand if they're going through some stress or they're distressed. How do we manage that, whether it's in our crew, whether it's in the incident control centre, wherever it is, all those things that come together to make good decisions, to make it better ultimately for the community, that's where it's really important. So to really progress and move back towards some regular, accessible leadership training. And I've got to say, with my SES hat on this time, SES has hosted, I think it's 4 of the incident control training programs run by Red Flag, Danny McKenzie's new business. So I think that's a free plug. I think he owes me one. But it's a really great way. And the recent courses that he's run at Mount Macedon are 50% male and female. We had people, I got the chance to go along as part of the delivery team, so that's the royal we. But we had people from interstate. We had people from all agencies. It was a real melting pot. We had people there with diversity and inclusion as on their radar. So it was a really powerful way to do it. So all speed to it, and moving forward with really good leadership training is important for everyone in your home life, but also when we get out there in emergency land.
No, excellent. Look, some really sage words of wisdom and advice from both. And certainly, if you are interested in being part of our organisation, you want to know a little bit more, particularly around women in CFA and how you can contribute, go to our website, cfa.vic.gov.au, our volunteering tab there, and learn a little bit more about us and how you can get involved, because as Stephanie says, just do it. Well, we've got some information and an update tonight in respect to some of our workwear. And we've got Hannah Bigham, who's a project support officer in that space, who's going to tell us a little something that's exciting for this weekend in championships. So over to you, Hannah.
Hi everyone, I want to tell you about an exciting opportunity for CFA members that will be available exclusively at the CFA State Championships in Mooroopna later this month. Members that have already received an allocation of workwear will have the opportunity to purchase additional items at their own cost at the State Championships. We'll have stock of all the popular sizes, and we'll have all sizes available until sold out. The ability to purchase additional workwear at your own cost is a part of a trial ahead of developing, releasing ongoing capability for members to purchase CFA workwear direct from State Logistics Centre. This online facility will be released later this year. If you want to buy some additional items at State Championships, make sure you have your CFA ID for verification, credit or debit card for payment. If you are eligible but don't already have your workwear allocation, please make a time to be sized up and place your order via your brigade through the ordering process. We look forward to seeing you at the State Championships.
Thanks, Hannah, and it's a great thing. And I know I get many representation from brigades since we started to do the workwear rollout about whether they have wanted to purchase additional workwear sets for their members. So that opportunity will be available now. And I stress, it's not forcing anyone to do it. It's purely optional. We have had a lot of requests from individuals and brigades in order to have access to purchase additional workwear. So we're making that available, an opportunity to our membership. So if you are interested, go see the team at Champs. Otherwise, we will be providing more information across the brigades to how you can access additional workwear. Harmony Day and Cultural Diversity Week. We've just had a really good conversation around the importance of women in CFA, but it's not just about matters of gender. It is also about ensuring that our brigades and our organisation really is representative of the communities that we seek to protect and represent. And the Healthy Brigade is made up of those people that form the community. Cultural Diversity Week and Harmony Day is a time to celebrate the power, influence and the stories of Victoria's rich multicultural communities. The 2024 Cultural Diversity Week theme invites us to weave a tapestry of vibrant experiences, our shared story, so learning from each other and our cultural differences, and celebrating together the richness that is our communities and how we can move forward together. And the theme for Harmony Day this year obviously is everyone belongs, and that's we really heard that about CFA, that we do belong. We belong together in the brigades, and we belong as part of our communities. And I think that's the real strength of our brigades, is when you know your local communities, when you are actively part of your local communities, made up of your local communities, you're better connected, you understand them more, and you're able to assist communities far better during fires and other emergencies. So that's fantastic. Speaking of diversity, we have a bit of a diversity video here, and we've got Shepparton East volunteer talking about the importance of diversity for her.
Shepparton East has got a really diverse community. We have got the people whose background is from Afghanistan, Malaysian, we've got some Pakistanis, Indians returning. And the best part of the diversity is sometimes when we don't understand the message in one language, we might communicate in some different language, pass the message on, and it does help the community.
About the joining the CFA, it's like in my opinion, it's about building the social network in the community. I knowing the student land, student like culture, and students like the volunteer community, how the people engage in their free time to help each other.
People from many different backgrounds, like this can help the organization in many aspects. For example, for the learning perspective and delivering the services to the community, it's very helpful if there's a diversity in the brigade, and it's also helpful within the brigade culture as well.
Fantastic. Well, we've just heard from the gang from Shepparton East there. Matt, as a captain here at Cobram, how does that resonate with you?
So Cobram's got a diverse ethnicity in the town. We range from Italians, South African and Asian. We've recently just had a South African gentleman sign up, so he's in the process and he's going to be a great, valuable member of our team. And we're trying to get as many of his mates to join up as well.
Oh, awesome. Sue, Steph, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic just meeting so many different people as well, learning about their home countries as well, how they fight fires over there as well.
Yeah. It really does resonate with me when I think about, and some people might remember the story that was run by ABC last year, I think from memory, the Fijian abattoir workers that joined the Swan Hill Fire Brigade, and the rich tapestry that they brought to the brigade, not only significantly boosting their brigade numbers by 20, I think from memory, but also the show that they put on, and their voices, the singing, and the culture that they brought to the brigade. And there's a smart brigade that's tapped in to a community in their local area who want to volunteer, who want to contribute from a different country. And 20 brigade members like that, firefighters, smart move. Question from Alan.
Yes. Hi Chief, how you going? Question is, with our FCVs, whether CFA is looking into taking on board the management of servicing of them. As we all know, so many FCVs are required a lot around the state. At this stage, brigades are footing the cost for servicing these vehicles. As time goes on, the cost rises with our ageing FCVs compared to the new ones where they're probably under the cap pricing. Are CFA looking into a solution to help out brigades or take it on board the servicing of them?
That's a fantastic question, and that's got Danny Jones written all over it.
Of course it does. Thank you, Alan. Look, I'm used to answering these type of questions in the chat, so I'll see how I go. So thanks for the question. Look, I guess, at the moment we do have an outsourced model for the maintenance of FCVs and in fact all of our general transport or passenger type fleet, so all of our, our white fleet, if you like. And we've had that for quite some time, but you're right, those costs do escalate. What I can tell you is that we don't have currently the capacity internally to take over the, the maintenance of those vehicles. So that's one point. The other point is that, we only have a certain amount, and I know, our members hear this quite often, but we only have a certain budget that we've got to operate with annually. So we've got to make sure we're getting the best value out of that budget. So I can tell you a couple of years ago when this was raised, and it is raised reasonably regularly around the maintenance of those type of vehicles. A couple of years ago, we did a desktop analysis about the costs of maintenance, and it actually turned out that our current model was more cost effective. Through an outsourced model where you just, you book a vehicle into a dealer and it might cost you, $500 or $600 annually to service it. To do that internally would cost more. Now, that's not to say it's not a viable option, because, then we can start to look at the extra or the added value we get through doing it internally. But again, at the moment, we don't have the capacity. Are we looking at it? Look, we are. We are looking at a group of vehicles at the moment that we might consider looking at the centralised management, at least, of servicing. That's not to say we'll service them inside, but the management of, booking and that sort of thing, and the funding arrangements. So
yeah,
hopefully.
That's more my question is,
Yep.
like, these vehicles are required to be Code 1. They're not a fire truck, so they don't fall under the fleet management service.
Yep.
But we are requiring them to go Code 1. So, as a volunteer and as a captain of my brigade, who does has an FCV, is, just overseeing the management, not necessarily servicing them, but just booking them into a regular place to get serviced and running eyes over it. Because one day there's an oops going to happen, and who's to blame? Yeah,
absolutely. And when you talk about blame, but really, regardless of how a vehicle is funded for procurement, they all have a CFA decal on the side. So I have a responsibility under legislation. My boss has a responsibility. The chief has a responsibility. So, look, we get your point, and we do acknowledge that those costs, are rising. So we're aware of it, and yes, we are looking into it at this stage.
Thanks, Denny. Thanks, Chief.
No worries. Thanks.
Alan, see you tomorrow with members of the board at your brigade station, where I'm sure you'll have other curly questions for members of our authority. So Ross, Peter and the gang online, I'm sure, watching. I'm sure Alan's cooking up a nice set of questions to ask our board tomorrow. Well, a couple of things that we're going to put in the chat to make you aware of, and that's the ultralight tanker crew protection induction video. So a video on the operation and how the crew protection system, the new crew protection system on the ultralights is going to operate. So we'll put that in the chat. If you're interested in it and want to know how it works, please click on the link and go watch that this evening. The other thing that we're also doing is gearing up for the second round of our Give Us a Hand campaign, statewide campaign to increase our volunteer numbers and membership of brigades, particularly focus on those brigades that want extra assistance or getting a hand from our local community members. The first round of the Give Us a Hand campaign was extremely successful, with thousands of expressions of interest being transitioned through to membership right across our brigades. And we have seen a significant influx of members into many brigades across the state, particularly those that needed it most. So, if you want to make sure that you get that targeted advertising campaign, please speak to your district office, your catchment teams, and they'll feed that through to our volunteer sustainability team to make sure that we really do pinpoint those parts of the state that need that extra bit of assistance. Well, the time of night has come. A big thanks to you, Matt, for allowing us to invade your station tonight. I know it was an active fire station. We've gotten through another monthly forum without the tones dropping and
yes,
members madly having to scurry into the pump and head off. You watch, I'll jinx this now. I just won't use the Q word. And a really big thanks to our live audience. And I didn't point them out at the beginning, so I'll point them out now. They're an excitable bunch. Yay! Come on, give us a wave. Yes, very good. They are alive, but they're just not mannequins that we put there every month to make it look like I'm popular. So thank you for coming. I know many of you have travelled far and wide to come and watch tonight's proceedings. So thank you very much for doing that. Tone and the team from District 22. The lights come on, mate. You must have paid the bill. That's great to see. But really thank you to you for having the forum here at Cobram tonight, but also to your team for making the Mooroopna Championships happen. There is a competition, rules and competitions team. There is a project team that comes together to pull this all together, but I know the amount of work that you and your district staff put into making sure that it's a successful weekend above and beyond. And mate, so thank you very much, and please take that back to the office and thank all your staff and volunteers involved in that. It's really, really appreciated. Big thanks to Brendan, to Danny, to Matt for your contributions this evening. Some really great discussion point. The chat's on fire. Lots of love for the truck, lots of love for the new technologies, lots of questions about workwear, about radios, about the light tanker, about many things that we've discussed this evening. I know the team are still madly answering a lot of those questions, and we'll circle back to any people that we haven't got to. In respect to workwear, I do notice a bit of a key theme in there around allowing the purchase of sets to people that want it, where other people have not got their first allocation yet. There are still first allocations available. If you want more information, please contact your district office and they can talk to the workwear project team and make that happen for you. So that is still available. So I just want to make sure we clear that one up. So thank you, Sue. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming along this evening. Wealth of knowledge and some great insights there. And thank you very much for coming along and sharing tonight with us and really imparting some really great questions. And a big thank you to everyone online for coming along, watching, sharing in the conversation, asking those questions. It is greatly appreciated by everyone involved. And as usual, behind the desk, a big thank you to the team that make it happen. Not a month goes by where challenges come up. And one of our values in CFA is adaptability. And I've got to say, the team behind the desk are very adaptable, whether it does include running across stations, replacing batteries, or sorting out sound or internet connectivity or the like. So look, a really big thank you to Marnie Reid, the executive producer, as I like to call him. I know he hates it, but I do it anyway. Brad Thomas, he does a fantastic job in the team. Beth Ramshaw, and look, shout out to Martin Anderson. I know you're probably at home watching, you're a bit crook. Normally part of the team. You do a fantastic job. Thank you very much to everyone. Well, that concludes tonight. See you next month, and stay safe. Thanks, everyone.